Welcome in to the 365 Sports Sick'em 365 Baylor postgame show here on 365 Sports YouTube and online. And Baylor falls in a gut-wrenching loss to BYU 26-20 in double overtime. I'm Paul Catalina alongside Levi Caraway and Jacob Wilson tonight. And guys, that game was, it was a slobber knocker, which we expected. Neither team really has a lot of offensive prowess to brag about. Baylor ran the ball 52 times, only threw it 28. And I have so many thoughts about things we saw tonight that are troubling down the line that they do need to get fixed. But Levi, your thoughts on the game as Baylor falls 26-20 in a game that special teams was a factor. Play calling was strange, but there are clearly, factors at play that we're not completely aware of here. Thoughts on the game?
It was ugly. It was really ugly. Every time the Bears were driving, getting any momentum, just penalties. I'm looking right now. They ended with 14 penalties for 117 yards. And then they got 2 false starts on that final drive there. So
yeah, 2 false starts on the final five. Jacob, Blake Shapen tonight didn't look as comfortable and confident. The offensive line had trouble. Also, no Monterey Baldwin. And I'm starting to think that maybe they are not as confident in the wide receivers. All these new guys are not winning matchups, and they were not as confident to get the ball down the field to them.
Yeah, I completely agree. It reminded me of Charlie's last season with the Bears, and it, down to the jersey number, the similar, looks when they're when he's wearing his helmet, and just, not looking comfortable, looking like he's a little bit lost, doesn't have a lot of faith in his weapons. And, it just was not a great night for Blake Shapen.
Yeah, it's a nutty day in college football. A&M loses. Bama and Texas goes right down to the wire with Bama winning by the hair of their chinny chin chin. Notre Dame loses to Marshall. Nebraska loses again. The Sun Belt has a great day. BYU wins at home, which they were the favorite in this game, but it was pretty much because they were at home. And I do think that was a huge factor. The altitude, all that, I do think probably played into it. But at the end of the day, Baylor was not confident in a lot of things on their offense. Tate McWilliams went out of the game. They rotated a lot of the running backs. Nobody ever really got in a rhythm, even though Quaylon Jones did look pretty good at times tonight. At the end of it, it's just such a weird game. Hankins missed that extra point, missed the field goal. Of course, BYU went through that same thing as well. Baylor had chances to win this game, but ultimately did not. And, we want your thoughts, 254-339-1122. Call us or text us. 14 penalties for 117 yards, all so absurd. Meanwhile, I have a tea time in 4 hours. This is nuts from the 213. In the chat room, checkdowns all game from Polo Bear. Worst play calling, bad play calling, and bad execution. Shapen never ran once.
Yeah.
That
was strange.
Yeah, that was strange. Let's go to the phones. And Steven from Virginia, thanks for your call, buddy. Steven, are you there? You should be on the USB one there, Jacob.
Oh.
There you go. Steven, go ahead.
Do you have me, Paul?
Yeah, I got you now.
First of all, I'm not going to call this game Blake Shapen's fault. I'm not going to compare him to Charlie Brewer. I don't want to do that right now. I do want to say it's hard to win a game when your wide receivers can't win matchups, when you're constantly getting penalties, and when you're missing kicks. You're not going to win games that way, especially on the road in tough environments. So I'm not here for Charlie Brewer cop-out stuff. I'm sorry. That's not what happened here. The wide receivers weren't good enough to win matchups on the outside to get balls. The offensive line kept false starting, especially down in overtime. And then we missed an extra point that would have kept the game from going to this place. So this is tough. This is a non-conference game. This is the way these things go. But, man, I would have much rather stayed up and watched a victory at 2 a.m. And I don't know how y'all feel, but that was just a rough game.
It was rough, and look, Baylor's road woes continue. There's a lot of things to unpack here, but I do think the key is, and Levi, looking at these stats, wide receiver wise, Hal Presley had 3 catches, Gavin Holmes had 1, Seth Jones had 2.
Not going to cut it.
Not going to not going to work. I mean, you've got to get your wide receivers the ball more. Ben Sims had the leader in receptions, 4 catches, 30 yards. Hal Presley had 1 more yard on his 3 catches. The long of the night was a 19-yard catch by Gavin Holmes. They didn't stretch the field at all tonight. BYU was playing 8 men in the box every chance that they could get, and Baylor was not able to capitalize on that. Mm-hmm. And that was something they were able to do against BYU last year. Didn't happen this year.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to pretend I'm a football X's and O's genius, but like something I took away from that Albany game was I was concerned with how the offensive line played. And then, people kind of were like, not saying they downplayed it, but they thought it would be fine. And like all night, they were just getting worked, especially in the first half. And obviously, kind of the rushing took over. And then those 2 drives where Baylor, I think, scored in the second half, that was just up tempo. But anytime Blake Shapen dropped back, there are 3 guys in the backfield, and like you can't operate like that. Plus, you have young receivers who aren't creating space. Like it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it is, and the offensive line struggled early in the game. Jacob, I kind of think that BYU took that as a point of pride. Last year that Baylor mauled them,
Absolutely.
Straight up and down mauled them, and tonight they did not want that to happen again.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. And, I mean, one thing that I think we should point out, we've talked about the penalties, is the targeting call that Dylan Doyle had. He's going to be out for, I believe he'll be out for the first half of next week's game.
Which is the stupidest rule in the history of rules.
I completely agree. And it was a bad call. And this is a leader of the team, and you're going to need him for every snap that he can give you. And so that was a real momentum shift in the game that shouldn't have happened.
All right, BU01 Bear has some thoughts. 254-339-1122. All right, let's go.
Yes, sir. Well, it looks like that they just wanted to put the game in the hands of our offensive line, running the ball, instead of trusting our pass protection and shape and throwing, which I can kind of understand it because of the pressure that BYU was getting at the beginning. I don't know. I really would like it if we could trust Blake to win games for us. That's the thing I was kind of put out about. But no excuses. But I will say that holding call on Ben Sims at the end, I really didn't agree with that. I thought that, man, I was really put out with that.
Well, it was a legit holding. You can't do what he did, and but it was the fact that they're doing it and getting caught was a big deal. Now, look, you cannot blame this game on the referees. They were yellow on both sides of this thing. Baylor just had a couple that were more egregious, and they had the false starts on the road.
So many false starts.
Yeah.
Which it's a part of playing there. But
all right, let's go to Chris. He has thoughts on the loss. Chris, you are on the postgame show. Go ahead.
Hey, big ups to the defense. Besides a couple of bad plays at the end of the game by the secondary, they played a pretty good game. I heard one of the guys, your co-host, mention the offensive line. They actually played a good game, but they was loading up the box. And they weren't spreading the receivers out. I mean, they weren't throwing the ball deep at all. And they was basically helping out BYU's defense the whole game. I don't know what was going on. The offense just looked like they were stuck on running the ball, like they was afraid to let the QB throw the ball downfield, and just kept the game close most of the time. It was just a bad offensive play calling game to me. That's what lost the game.
Yeah, Chris, there were some things, and thanks for your call. There were some things that clearly they feel limited on, and I think the biggest thing is stretching the field without Monterey Baldwin. Monterey Baldwin went out of the game. I know that you didn't hear that from the ESPN crew. I'm not sure why, but went out of the game, never came back in, and that changes their offensive dynamic, and that means that they don't feel comfortable in Hal Presley doing that. They don't feel comfortable in Seth Jones doing that. They have got inexperience at those wide receiver positions. Running back, it looks like they can get by with, but when it comes down to it, not having those wide receivers guys experienced and confident really affected the game today. In Albany, I think that was a little fool's gold. You think, okay, they're going to do that more, but they were not winning matchups with the BYU DBs or even trying really all that much to do that. And you saw times where Blake had time to throw the ball and had to check down. Well, why do you have to check down? Because they're not open deep.
Yeah. Does Baylor win that game with Tyquan Thornton?
I mean, probably, maybe. Yeah, that's the thing.
One additional weapon. He's got Ben Sims, but heck, Tony Romo could only check down to Jason Witten so much. And so one thing to Baylor's credit, the offensive line, it was questionable with the pass protection, but BYU knew what Baylor was going to be doing pretty much the entire second half. They ran, and Baylor still moved the ball. And so there is a little bit to take away in the positive there, but you've really got to be able to figure out some balance because there's going to be opponents coming up on their schedule that are not going to let that fly.
And to hit on Chris's point, I thought the defense played they played really well for the majority of the game. I mean, a couple of scores at the end of the half, and they were obviously very tired at the end. But at the end of the day, it came down to the receivers not getting open, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's the key to the game here. All right, we'll take a break right here. Load up some more calls and text 254-339-1122. It is 1:30 in the morning. We are not going to prolong this post-game show, but wanted to give you guys an opportunity to vent if you wanted to. By the way, my friend just sent me a Desmond Howard's playoff bracket. You guys remember this?
The Pitt and Baylor, Michigan, and somebody else.
A&M.
Oh.
So those teams were 1-3 today, and the one that won played Hawaii.
Yeah. It's a good day to be in the Sun Belt Conference. I'll just say that.
Yeah, absolutely is. We'll take a break. We'll come back after this. This is the post-game show, 365 Sports, SicEm 365 Radio.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Cars priced right both day and night. At Richard Car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. At Richard Car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. At Richard Car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. At Richard Car in Waco, Texas.
This is the Baylor Postgame Show on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
All right, I got two calls here. Paul, Levi, Jacob. All here. They're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 1:30 in the morning. 1:36 a.m. I feel like an overnight disc jockey right now. Like, honestly, like, that's the only time I've ever, like, had to be up this late in the business is when I've had to go in and fix something. But, 1:36 a.m. Got Inagata coming at you. Golly. Baylor falls to BYU 26-20 in double overtime. Let's go back to the phones. Nick, you're on 365 Sports. Go.
Hey, this is Nick Maddox, big fan of the show, and just wanted to shout out my guy, Levi. He's off right there, but I wanted to know what y'all's thoughts were on the offensive line. I mean, we heard.
All right. You're breaking up there, Nick. I'll just give you my thoughts on the offensive line. I think they've had better games, but I do think that they were not the chief issue today. They were one of them. I mean, there were penalties in the offensive line. There were a lot, but I think the bigger issue was the wide receivers. That's something that we talked about all offseason. These are new guys. They did not play last year. They did not crack a lineup. Baylor ran three guys out 90% of the time last year, and that was Tyquan Thornton, who's in the NFL, Drew Estrada, who's in the NFL, and R.J. Sneed, who transferred out. So those are the three guys that played last year. All these other guys were on the roster and didn't really play that much. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of Monterey Baldwin had a big play in the bowl game. He was out after the first half tonight with an injury. So no Monterey Baldwin. The guys are out there, and that issue reared its ugly head. Mm-hmm. Bottom line. So,
yeah, I think it's pretty clear that there is not a Corey Coleman, Kendall Wright, Tyquan Thornton. There is not that lead guy, and we kind of thought that would emerge. Like maybe one of these young guys was just waiting for his turn, but we might just have to look at the fact that they don't have that guy, and so we got to make adjustments going into passing game in future weeks.
Mm-hmm. And to go back on the offensive line, I think in the first half it was bad. Like there were constantly people in the backfield, but like they said, BYU had 8 people in the box, and I'm not an X's and O's expert, but they definitely shored up in the second half a little bit. But still, the penalties were just so uncharacteristic. And I know they're playing on the road, but it was just not their best game.
Yeah. From Marshall Burns on the text line, I felt the O-line was good enough for the run, but not in pass protection. Maybe to me, that's why Shapen didn't have a great game. His humble opinion. All right, let's go to Joe in Waco. Joe, your thoughts?
Well, guys, first off, I gotta set this up a little bit. I just called 7 baseball games today. Got home about 9:30 right before kickoff. Stayed up this whole time. I got to be back out on the baseball field at 8 a.m. for 4 more baseball games. So if that's not a Baylor fan, I don't know what. I don't know what else, or maybe it's just stupid. You guys can answer that later. But as far as Baylor's as a whole, I mean, if this was our worst, what is our best going to look like? I mean, I'm going to be more on the optimistic side, because if we played pretty much like crap tonight, but yet went into double overtime, and BYU's quarterback was super awesome, supposedly, according to some of the chatter that was going on. But it's like, okay, where does the ceiling go from here? If this is our bottom, that means the sky's the limit. Once we get a couple of these guys on board, why not? I mean, where are we going to go from here then if that's the case? I mean, and as you guys were talking about with the wide receivers, Josh Fleeks, get his butt out there, let him catch a few more passes. Gavin Holmes, I get it, buddy. You've been hurt for a while, but guess what? It's your number. It's your time. Your number's being drawn out now. So why can't those two guys be on the outside?
Well, Joe,
and then
let me,
we got Ben Sims as well.
Let me just stop you there. If they were good enough, they would be. Like it's not there's not some sort of conspiracy going on. I mean, like, that's not how it works. I mean, look, if those guys were the best options, they would be out there. Josh Fleeks has had 5 years now of opportunities, and we haven't seen a lot of them. We've seen him make some plays. Oklahoma State a couple years ago in 2019 made some big plays, but they moved to running back for a reason. Gavin Holmes has dealt with injuries, and so he's not winning those matchups. But yeah, I don't think there's any kind of bad personnel decisions here. I think they're rolling with the best guys that they have. I think that they have an issue with that position, that they don't have a lot of experience, and a lot of guys don't know how to win yet. And I also think that, they might have, the previous staff missed on a couple guys. I know Seth Jones is starting, but we didn't see much from him tonight. Jalen Ellis has not produced, and those guys are now no longer underclassmen. So that's and I'm not trying to call guys out. I'm just saying that they need more from those guys. Jalen Ellis ran into the punter tonight. That was a thing. Yeah. They need those guys to play like veterans. They need those guys to step up, and I think that's kind of the issue there. All right, let's go to Wesley in Grapevine. Wesley, thanks for your call.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to call in and ask you guys, what did you think about the play calling?
What did you think, Wesley?
I thought all 4 quarters until the end, it was good. But honestly, I just feel like we had a chance to win that game in the 4th quarter, and the play calling just went out the window. But I feel like the universe gave us another chance. We went to overtime. And I feel like we kept making the same mistake with play calling over and over and over. 2 missed field goals. We kept getting chance after chance. And to me, it seems like we didn't learn our lesson. I don't know. That's just what I think.
Yeah. Well, Wesley, thanks for your call. I think that they got very limited in their play calling, and I was surprised that they weren't taking shots, but clearly they didn't feel that they could win those shots.
I don't know what to make of the play calling tonight, because those 2 drives where they ran up tempo right out of the half and to begin the 4th quarter, I believe, were really good drives, and Shapen was just hitting Ben Sims quick. They're running the ball, kind of getting everything involved, but it was just weird because you look when they have 8 people in the box and they have 1 corner pressing Hal Presley, 1 corner pressing Seth Jones, and they weren't even taking shots. So I guess that speaks more to Jeff Grimes just not trusting the receivers. It was...
Yeah, I thought just both sides of the ball, especially in the first half, maybe first 3 quarters, the whole game was just lethargic and sluggish, and we haven't seen that in the Jeff Grimes era necessarily, and so it was just kind of a head scratcher. And they went to the run because they know that that's what they are good at right now as we know it. And BYU wasn't exactly stopping it when they knew it was coming, and so they were going with 5-yard chunks at a time, and hey, it kind of worked, but it wasn't good enough to win.
Yeah. I don't want to do this, but I have to do this. You guys aren't aware of this. It's trying to predate you here. Never in a million years, Bigfoot. So just not going to do it. Never in a million years. We got a caller I'm not taking. So never in a million years. It's not going to happen. You can keep calling. I'm going to ignore it. It's late, and I really want to wrap this up. So let's get some quick final thoughts on this. I do think that the play calling was an issue, but I do think that there are reasons for that. Like Jeff Grimes didn't go from being an excellent play caller to forgetting all of football. You get in things and that's not working, and you're not winning those matchups. So then you're trying to reinvent the game plan on the fly. Could they have done better? Yeah. Could they have made that kick? Yeah. Less penalties. That's something they got to work on. You know, all of that. Like, it's just how it's going to be. I want to read this text. Just came from the 801 from Salt Lake City, or Utah. Just came from the game. Instant classic. I have to say there are no better fans than Baylor fans. Respectful, passionate, wonderful people. Here's to the stone cold sober rivalry. I have to go to bed because I have church in the morning. Haha, love you guys. That's Spencer in Utah. Spencer, thanks for the text. That might be a good name for it.
Yeah.
that might be a good name for it. So that was all right. Let's see. We can take one more call, I think. All right. Let me screen this one. All right, let's take Mike from San Antonio, and then we got another call from Houston, possibly. Mike in San Antonio, thanks for your call.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I know this game obviously kind of sucked, but on the bright side, at least we didn't lose to the Sun Belt team.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, let's go to, we're getting, now that I said I want to go to bed, we're getting calls. All right, let's go to Patrick in Houston. Patrick, go ahead.
Hey, so I wanted to ask what y'all think is going to happen tomorrow with the rankings with regards to Baylor and BYU, how much Baylor's going to move down, and if BYU will move up a whole lot.
I think that they will
almost flip.
I don't know. BYU's going to go up that high, but I think they'll meet in the middle somewhere. Yeah, I think they're going to meet in the middle. Like BYU should probably be
12.
over Baylor, so BYU might go to like 14th or something like that,
12.
and Baylor might be at 15th, 16th.
I'd say BYU like 12-ish, Baylor like 18-ish.
Yeah. So, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and end the show. So let's get final thoughts from you guys.
My final thoughts is I think you can still kind of be optimistic as a Baylor fan because I put in the staff predictions, and hey, I didn't forget for all the people that were coming after me for predicting BYU to win. But anyway, I mean, like, if they lose this game, they can still go 7-2 in the Big 12 and still, win the conference, go to the Sugar Bowl or whatever. It's not the end of the world. Like, this is going to make them better. I think there's definitely some, reasons to be concerned after tonight, but this game is going to make both squads better, and this is a true road test. And, yeah, like, the season's not over by any means. I mean, maybe the playoff aspirations are a little dampered, but you can still easily win the conference and rebound from this. So.
Yeah. Jacob?
I wouldn't say that we could easily win the conference.
Yeah, not easily. There's some major concerns after tonight.
I mean, I think we're going to learn in the coming weeks just how good of a coaching staff Dave Aranda has, because he's going to have to make do with what he's got, like we've talked about ad nauseum with the receiving core and some of the other areas. And we're also going to find out how good BYU is, because, I mean, they looked pretty good. And, this was a team that Baylor absolutely steamrolled last year, and they were out for vengeance. It was clear by watching their fans, and Baylor just couldn't quite do enough to pull this one out. All I know is that when we start playing familiar opponents who are competing for a conference title, they are going to have to solve the problems that they were exposed tonight.
Yeah. Texas State on the schedule next week, 11 a.m. kickoff. Baylor, we'll get an opportunity to bounce back. That's a rough roster at Texas State right now. Texas State and Hawaii could play in the wish we were in FCS this year bowl.
At least the Wolverines didn't absolutely humiliate my beloved Rainbow Warriors.
Yeah. So, by the way, and BYU at Oregon next week. That should be an interesting game.
Yeah.
Oregon is going to need some kind of bounce back. They have Notre Dame in Vegas later in the year, and now we don't need them. Yeah, I mean, so they've got Arkansas, so should be interesting. And I guess they don't play Utah this year, so no holy war. But Yeah, we'll see how good BYU is. We'll see how good Baylor is as they bounce back, and they got one more non-conference game before they jump into the Big 12. We'll be back again next week. We'll be back Monday at 3 o'clock on Sick'em 365 Radio. Thanks to Levi Caraway. Thanks to Jacob Wilson at Waco Jacob on Twitter, at Levi Caraway on Twitter.
13. Levi Caraway 13.
Levi Caraway 13. There are 12 other Levi Caraways before him. Don't follow those clowns. Follow this one, Levi Caraway 13 on Twitter, writes for us and does a great, great job. All right, that's going to do it for us. Have a great night, everybody. Go to bed. Sick'em 365 Radio, 365 Sports.